Hello and welcome to the Securosis Firestarter. This one will be going out on May, 10th, 11th, 12th, Monday, May 12th. This is Rich Mogul here as always, and also as always, I have my two cohorts. First, let's introduce Adrian Lane.
Hey Rich, how are you? I see you're well groomed today.
My daughter's like one of my 3-year-old was like, Daddy, I told you just to get a trim. You got a haircut. And my other one believed me when I told her I had an accident with the ceiling fan. So we need to work on
Ah,
that.
and then, did they kind of rub your head since it's, kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but well, all right, never
The
mind.
1-year-old, yeah, went up and he could pat that. It was a little creepy. So
Yeah, yeah. I figured
I,
that's where the conversation was going, so I tried to cut it off.
yeah, I did have a relevant though education moment with our kids. Or my 5-year-old was out front and she was going to do a little show, and she was on the street trying to sell tickets, which goes well when it's over 90 degrees here in Phoenix, as you might imagine. She's like, free tickets to the kids show for 2 coins. My wife got a video of her going, free tick. She's like, Riley, didn't you say it was free? Yeah. Then why is it 2 coins? Oh, I'm trying to trick them. So yeah,
A
I don't
future in
know.
marketing, I see.
I was going to
Yes.
say social engineering, but that's more about sales, right? The freemium. She understands the business model of the internet now, right? Free coin, free whatever, 2 coins, right? That's perfect. That's exactly what we see today.
If she'd been charging bitcoins, we could have done well.
Well, then you can just break into your own site and do some Litecoin mining, right, Rich?
uh, Bite my shiny metal ass.
Yeah.
So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So we decided there's a couple of fun news stories, so we're gonna do our little 3 for 5 thing with the timer again today. And let me pull up our little subject list. So if you guys are ready, we'll go ahead, and there we go. All right. So first one we're gonna cover. Timer has started. Apparently, McAfee has been scraping the open source vulnerability database and stealing their data, even after reaching out to find out how much it would cost for a contract. And this cost a little bit of them. They say, oh, we don't have budget for that. And they're changing their user agents. They're actually actively trying to defeat the open source vulnerability, OBVS, forget it,
DB,
OSV.
DB.
Yeah. All right. I just wasted our time with that. There are attempts to force McAfee into actually paying for it. Uh, well, of course, this instantly brought up comparisons to, Weave, who was convicted of something, or they tried to convict him of something similar. And I find it kind of interesting. You get to say McAfee and Weave in the same sentence.
Well, aren't there warrants out for John McAfee anyway already? So I'll just add this to the list of other transgressions that.
They should just blame John McAfee
Yeah.
anytime they fuck something up. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, sorry, language. On this one, now we got to do the explicit tag. But yeah, they should blame him. Like, that wasn't us. It
That's
wasn't
right.
our
It was
marketing
John
guy.
McAfee.
Got that.
He's like the mascot. He's like the scapegoat mascot now. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But more to the point, how the hell does this happen? Right? I mean, there have to be controls and structures and checks and balances in large organizations that are doing multiple billions of dollars in any kind of technology. And clearly, and I wasn't familiar with this, right? This is the first I'm hearing about this, but clearly there is some kind of, total control failure for a group to basically go out there and say, hey, we would like to license this content, what's it going to cost? Them saying, oh, we don't have budget for that, and then to use it anyway. I mean, maybe buy less toilet paper. Or maybe don't provide sodas to all of kind of the people, the 50,000 people you have in your field organization, and pay the people that generate the content. That's total nonsense.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the technically it probably isn't illegal because it's the way they did it. It's public data, and they use techniques to try and limit people from going through and scraping that data, but they still offer it for free to the public, and they want commercial use. So it's a copyright issue, and I didn't it's unsure how McAfee is using that. They're not republishing it in a way that it could, directly be correlated with a copyright violation for a lawsuit there. But I mean, it's a mess. It's clearly not how they should behave. It's the kind of thing that can really significantly damage your reputation, as was happening here. But on the other hand, what I also found interesting was the community response, which was somebody should do something about this. And I think I tweeted, if you were against McAfee and you supported Weave, you're a hypocrite. Because as much as I despise Weave, he was just doing the same thing, and he was actually out to cause harm. That was clear from his chat rooms. But that laws are the way they are, and I don't think he violated one in that particular.
You bet. So let's separate out law from I'll just bring up this really gets down to a very, very simple acid test that I just put together.
Right?
Is that backwards?
Right.
You have to say something because we kept stealing the video.
Right and wrong. There is right and there is wrong. And it's not any more complicated than this. You're a billion-dollar company. Write a goddamn check. Thank you. Drop the mic. Again, I don't know whether we're out of time or not, but this is nonsense, and it irritates me. And I'm trying to be, less irritated on a daily basis.
Well, we now have to waste 50 seconds talking about something else. So, Adrian, how about your hair?
Well, the last time I got off a plane, Mike goes, "Hey, what's with the wig?"
Like he can talk. The only difference is it's like white and black. We don't have white hats and black hats around here. We have
white hair and black hair. That's right.
Black network hair.
That is awesome. That may be one of the better imitations of me. Jamie does a pretty good one too, by the way.
I still remember Hoff's with the little talking mouth thing that he did posted online years ago.
That
so
was good.
Yeah, that was pretty decent.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is about to go beep on me. Next, we have restart. Target CEO. Bye.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! A CEO got fired. Oh, by the way, not because of a data breach, right? I mean, I think that was probably one of the contributing factors that just showed basically a lack of control over the organization. But it's funny kind of working with a mess of Canadians every day, and everybody's all up in arms about the Target thing, and the CEO getting popped, and we should be, and then our Canadian friends are just like. They lost about $2 billion in Canada in the last year. It was an unmitigated disaster, and they just kept going on and on. And then it was just obvious that, listen, this was a guy that they were probably using the data breach as, and again, I'm sure it's a contributing factor in some way, shape, or form. But the reality is, it probably wasn't, that in and amongst itself is not going to cause the guy to get separated from his head, after 35 years in the organization. The reality is there were a lot of other operational issues, and it was probably time to make a change, and that was an interesting and fairly convenient, smokescreen that allowed them to talk about how important it is, about data protection, and somebody had to pay, and now our CEO's gone, we're going to do all these other things, and they hired a high-level CIO, and they'll bring in some face as a CISO in order to deal with these things. But let's be clear, we've seen this a whole mess of times, and if the business is running pretty well, they don't shoot the CEO over a data breach. They just don't.
Can't we just for a few minutes at least dream that security was important and had an effect on management? Oh, come on, you're spoiling it for the rest of us in security.
It's true. Okay, hey, Don Quixote, calm down there. Over there. But the reality is, I do think that pretty much every CISO in an enterprise class or Fortune class type company spent some time in the CEO's office this week. I do believe that that's happened, where these folks are like, I know we talked about it when the breach first hit. I know we've been talking about it every quarter when you show up at the board meeting. I know I hear from the CIO, but tell me again that I'm not going to get fired if something like this happens. And then the real interesting thing is, if you're the CISO, what do you say? Right? Do you go, I don't know, right? I can't tell you definitively that we're not going to get popped, and I can't tell you definitively that you're not going to get fired, right? I'm pretty sure that most CEOs probably won't like that answer too much. So you got to balance, how truthful are you, or not how truthful are you, right? How much of the truth do you tell? Right, versus kind of what the CEO wants to hear, versus just get me out of this guy's office so that I can go do some work, right? Because every minute I'm sitting here, in this guy's office or gal's office, is a minute I'm not dealing with what my job is.
Aren't
Yeah.
we supposed to be telling them about risk? Aren't we supposed to be telling them about the areas that we're worried about and what we're tracking and how we're going to manage that? I mean, so you surprised me with your answer because I really would have thought it would have been more of a risk-based conversation about what sort of things we need to pay attention to and how we mitigate them.
Well, it could be, but when you've got a bloody head on a spike, right next to the guy's office, I'm not sure that's the best time to go. Oh, by the way, I'm really worried about the following things. They're like, do you not see the bloody head on the steak? Right? I need to make sure that that's not my bloody head on the steak. So again, if it's a normal, ongoing, kind of drumbeat type of discussion that you have with the senior management, those are exactly the right things to do. Right, right now, I think it's much more about, we've got a program, we're working our program, we've been talking about these risks, you understand what these risks are, nothing has changed because, the target CEO no longer has a head.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of Egghead Software, and that was going back to my Gartner days. And I remember I'm an Egghead customer, and I got their breach notification email. The very first one I ever received was before any of the laws were in place, and it actually set back breach disclosures by 5 or 10 years because they did their disclosures during the holiday season, just like Target, online retailer. There were, it was a whole heap of a mess, and the company eventually went out of business, and I think the assets were bought by Amazon. And which I guess is an exit of some sort, so it didn't completely go out of business. But the narrative at the time was they did a breach disclosure, so they went out of business. And yet I had access. Gartner, had a bunch of these research things like Nielsen ratings and web metrics, and I can't remember the name of all these things. And we looked at it, and there was this decline on the website. There was a decline on the financial side. They had closed their physical stores. Timer's up. Anyway, short version is the breach was barely a blip. All right.
Well, and it gets back to your thing, Rich. One more point on this, since we went over, we were under on the last one. We'll go over a little bit on this one. Correlation is not causation, right? And
Yep.
again, I know somebody else said that, but you've been beating that into my head for 5 years, right? And I think this is another, kind of example of that, which is that's what the data, may lead you to a faulty conclusion about.
All right, and moving on, we have Microsoft patched Windows XP. So the unwashed masses are safe again, and I think it was a big frickin' mistake.
Huge mistake. Huge mistake. So just as a background, obviously there was a recent 0 day on, pretty much the whole Microsoft stack. I'm pretty sure it was IE related,
Yeah,
but
IE related.
it was, obviously XP was vulnerable to that, and Microsoft did another patch, specifically for XP to address this issue. And at some point, and Rich, I think your issue is, right, when does it end? You say end of life, except it's not, right? So are we the Walking Dead here? Are we dealing with, XP zombies, or do they just give up the ghost and say, screw it, we've got to support it until, every goddamn kiosk that runs, XP is gone, which is probably never.
Look, we both have kids, and Adrian has dogs. The behavior actually I'm about to mention is the same for both of them. If you say no, and then they cross the line, and you let them cross the line, they're going to cross the line again the next time, and the next time, and the next time. It just doesn't end. So Microsoft did an amazing job of supporting it for a long time. They did a great job. I mean, they got the word out. Okay, my father-in-law is like, oh, I heard they're dropping support for Windows XP. What am I going to do? And so now I get to go over there this weekend and set up his new Mac. And I don't support Windows anymore. I just don't.
Nice.
It's not even that it's horrible, but it is sure easier to screw it up. Newer versions even. So I mean, where do you draw those lines? And if people think they get by, and look, I mean, you guys know, my favorite little coffee shop right around the corner. I walk in every time, Windows XP screensaver there. I mean, every place I go, it is all over the place, particularly in retail systems. PCI Council, I mean, just needs to, and it's not the retailers, okay? These people don't know from Adam with technology. They run a small cafe that does pretty well. That's all they care about. That's their focus. But they outsource that to some company that puts their point of sale system in. That point of sale system and everything all runs on Windows XP. All the food and beverage, all the restaurants, all the hotels, a lot of healthcare, all running still on XP. Microsoft not only has to cut it off, we need to get standards bodies there. We're probably going to need to get some breaches and some of these companies held liable. It's going to be a long, ugly path, but if they keep putting those patches out, it's not good. So
I agree.
somebody said, they said, hey, I'm going to do the next one, or we think they'll patch the next one. I go, if they make that mistake, they're stuck with it. And I was talking with Martin McKay, and he goes, well, hey, what about all those, the governments and stuff are on these advanced support contracts, so they have to build the patches anyway. So these are, I mean, our government's paying many millions of dollars over their existing licenses for extended support. It's basically means that if something happens, they will put engineers on it and develop a patch just for you. Why not send that out to everybody? Like, well, again, draw the line. Otherwise, Microsoft will be tethered to this, decades-old technology
Forever. And by the way, wasn't it extended for 5 or 6 years beyond when they wanted to kill it to begin with?
Years beyond what they wanted to kill it. Yeah. And you can't blame Windows 8. People can still go to 7. It's a good platform. It's much harder.
And you're talking about your uncle. My father had a similar type of thing where one of his drives blew up, and he's just like, well, the thing needs on XP. I'm like, go to Windows 7. Just do it. Don't talk to me about it. Just go and do it, because there's no way to protect you anymore on that.
Yeah, you're done. So, all right. Well, we are finishing 1 minute early on that particular topic, unless one of you has anything else to say on it. We can give our listeners a little bit of their time back. Any closing thoughts? I have a couple of things coming up I want to mention, but
Mortman and I are at Secure 360 next week talking about NoSQL security. So if you're in town, give us a ring, let us know, and we'll see if we can hook up.
I will be there too, actually, giving my FW pitch. So that is my version of why next generation is a horrible term, and I've just decided to say FU to it. So I'll be in Minneapolis. I guess it's St. Paul, right? So I guess we'll be in St. Paul next week. So no, it's a great conference. So if any of you folks are up there, definitely make sure you seek us out, because we are happy to see you whenever we get to mingle with the people, right?
And then I will be, not next week, but the week after, at teaching a security class at Camp DevOps. So it's tied up with GlueCon. So GlueCon, I think, runs Wednesday, Thursday. Camp DevOps is running in Boulder, the university where I used to work and went to school, on Tuesday. And I'll be doing a class, basically an hour on security DevOps stuff. So, I mean, this is like code level. Hopefully get people, with their stuff open and Amazon up and running. The other thing is registration is open for our Black Hat Cloud Security Training. That's going to be at the end of July this year, I believe, are the official dates. So we're running 2 classes up there.
First week of August. First week of August.
First week of August? Okay.
Get back a week.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta look at my calendar then, make sure I don't mess something up. Oh yeah, it is the first week of August. Sorry. So anyway, doing the cloud security class, bringing some new stuff out. So if you want to learn more about how to deal with tags and IAM permissions and kind of some of the more advanced concepts, putting together some labs. So if you're not up to that level, we'll walk you through everything. But for the people who are more advanced, definitely bring in some extra material to throw at them. Some of it may be self-service. So, all right, that's it. So thanks everybody for listening, and we will be back probably next week.
Probably. Have a good week, guys.